A quick introduction. I am Ralph Warom, a motion graphics animator and graphics designer from Kampala, Uganda. The audio you're about to hear was taken from me from the Visualize Bootcamp. Basically, it's this 5-day event where a group of designers and videographers and photographers, young people just getting into the industry, set off for a boot camp where they are trained in the art of how to deal with clients, how to be a good service provider. I was one of the guest speakers, and this is basically the entire talk that I gave, as well as the Q&A. If you hear me mention names and engage with people in the audience, that's because it was a small group of between 20 and 30 people, and I got to know everyone by name. So when I call out a name, you know this is someone I know. It was a very intimate setting. It was good and it was engaging. It was fantastic, and I'm hoping that this is going to be useful to you as well as you engage with clients. Enjoy. All right. I'm really happy to be here with you today. Specifically because for most of you, I have been where you are. I have been in a place in my life where I was just getting started, where I hadn't tested any clients. I've been in that place, and I have worked very hard over the past 3-4 years to get out of it. So today what I want to do is I want to compress about 3 years worth of knowledge into 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is it's going to be 30 minutes of me just telling you what I've experienced and what you need to do to make money next week. And then I'm going to open up for 30 minutes of Q&A. Come to me with really hard questions, things that are burning. And specifically, I prefer questions which are going to help you make more money. So be focused on that. First things first, who am I? My name is Ralph Arthur Warom Othembi. I am a graphics designer from Kampala, Uganda. The name of my company is Wanenu Limited, and I am literally its sole employee. There are some people I bring on from time to time when the work is beyond me, but mostly it's me. So I am what you guys might call a freelancer. And I come in, I get the job done, and then I'm out. So that's the perspective that I approach this work from. When I initially started, this was about 3 years ago. Before then, I had been studying and I had been volunteering in church, not Watoto, but All Saints, so it's a bit higher up. And I was there for about 2 years. I was also teaching young people web design, and I was studying at Aptech. I studied computer programming, that's C. I studied, what else did I study? I studied HTML and CSS, that's web design, and I studied PHP. That's the technology that powers databases. How many of you guys know what that is? Just raise up your hand if you know what those technologies are. Okay, so there are only 3 of you here who know web technologies. All right, that's fine. But afterwards, I ended up starting 3 different companies. I should actually say 5, because one of the companies, I started it, it died. I started it again, then it died again. So, but let's say 3 companies. I've started 3 companies that failed before I started Wanenu Limited. And they failed for different reasons, but all of the reasons were my fault. This is important. I want you to say this with me. Everything that happens in my life is my responsibility. Say it. Everything that happens in my life is my responsibility. Perfect. And I need you to understand this because it's going to be the foundation of everything that I discuss after. Everything is your responsibility, even where you are now. I understand who here is already in business. Just raise up your hand because I want to know who I'm speaking with. Okay, not that many, but some of you guys are already in business. Nice. Who here has not yet had like a photography, videography client in their lives yet? Like you're completely fresh. You're fresh. Okay, that's good. That's good. Those of you who are fresh are going to benefit the most from this conversation. You're not proven. You're fresh. You're virgin. Like no one has tried you out yet. And I think for many of you, that's going to be an issue. For some of you, it's because you've been in business, but you interact with a client who's meeting you for the first time. For others, you're fresh. You haven't actually engaged with a client yet. And that's going to be your first hurdle. How do I get my first client? Let me help you with this. I hate this word. But I recommend your very first job. Your very first. I highly recommend you either volunteer, that is free work, like you're going to do something for someone for free. And don't do it for someone outside of your family. Just do it for someone close. Do it for your church. I like people who start off doing some work in church. Do it for your family. Do it for your family at a wedding or something. Start with something small. And that first piece of work is going to be your foundation. For example, you've been taking some photos here. I expect that these photos are going to be on your Facebook pages when you're talking about yourself and design. Even this is something. People need something to attach to you to feel like, okay, I trust you. I believe that you are who you say you are, and I can trust you with some work. Even if it's just a fun music video you decide to make with your friends for fun, and you edit it, that's going to be your first thing. Because remember, people can't hire you for. The funny thing is, in my experience, I don't know about you guys, no one has ever asked me for my degree. No one has asked me to come and be like, now bring your web design certificate before we hire you for a job. But every single person I have spoken with has at least seen the work I have done before coming to engage me, or they have come to me and they have asked me to see a sample of what it is that I can do. And that's important. And that one sample is going to get you work. For some of you, it's that one photo. It's literally one photo is going to be the thing that gets you work. You put it on your Facebook page, you put a number, okay? Don't wait for God to come down and give you permission to call yourself a photographer, a videographer, a musician, anything, a designer. Don't wait. Don't wait for people's permission. Just say, I am this. I didn't go and study design for 5 years before starting off. I just said, you know what, I'm a designer, and I started. Start. That's the first lesson. You don't need permission. Some of you who've been working in the industry for a while, you're facing a similar problem. You think of yourself in this little box, and you can no longer, engage with clients in a fresh way. Because now, instead of realizing that it is, sometimes people say confidence or esteem, which is allowing you to connect with people, you think it's, oh, I have this business or this studio. People can tell, okay, this is someone whom I can do business with. If Amos had started off by saying, now you know me, I'm actually going to get this. If he had started off like all that, I really wouldn't have asked him to do this video for me. Because I know, okay, this guy doesn't trust himself. And if you don't trust yourself, me, I'm not trusting you. Because remember, clients don't love you. They are not your friends. They are not your family. They are not visualized. They don't give a shit. They don't care about you at all. In fact, that's something very important. And that's going to go to my second level foundation. People are selfish, and that's a good thing. I want you to remember that. People are selfish, and that's a good thing. People only care about connecting with other people who have value to them. Let's say your uncle right now has a farm, and he's trying to sell his maize. Now for you, you're there being the nephew, you're just shaking hands at these different parties. But you haven't said, hi uncle. Next time you're going to the village, can I come with you? I have this photography skill, I want to try it out. And I just want to charge you, let's say 50,000 shillings. Let me go take some photos. If this helps you sell your stuff, and I'll put it on social media, if it helps you sell your stuff, I'll be very happy. But I just need my first client. I hope you guys are listening. Are you listening? That's how you get your first client. And your first is important. Once you get one, it's easy. Once you get one, everything else is easy. You just need one. So that's the first thing you need to do. Now, you're going to get this first client, and I expect you to do this next week. This is not like theoretical, 20 weeks in the future. No, I'm saying this is what you're doing next week once you leave Visualize. You're looking for your first client. The next thing I want you to do is, once you get that money, you're not going out partying with your friends. I don't care whether it's a 5K thing you do, a 50K thing, a 100K thing. Like, I hope the 5K I give you, this is how you use it. You're going to start using your money like a businessman or a businesswoman. Is there a business person? Is it a thing? Linda, is it a thing? It is? Okay, Kawa, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You're going to start thinking about money like a business person. How many here still get an allowance from their parents? Raise your hands. It's okay, don't be ashamed. Like, you still get support from home. Okay, you three, you four are at a fantastic advantage. And you need to squeeze that advantage. Because you don't need this money to live. Every single drop of money you make, some of you, if you need to rely on yourself, you're going to cut off, let's say, 50% and keep it. But that remaining 50%, you use it as a business person. Some of what I do is consulting with other small businesses. I kind of help them create processes that are going to allow them to succeed. One guy I was working with was a photographer. Oh God, God help him. I was having a conversation with him, and some of his jobs, he was making 70, 50, 20,000 shillings. But he was charging his clients like 150,000, right? He's charging 150,000, he's taking home 50. He's charging like 100, he's taking home 20. And I was trying to figure out with him, okay, dude, what's the problem? And he's like, I don't have a camera. And as we began to talk, he's like, no, you see the money, what. And then, who here can guess which phone he pulled out? Close, almost the Android version of iPhone. What's the Android version? Yes, he had a Samsung. So, me being me, I first look at him, I'd be like, bro, did your parents buy that Samsung? Like, no. Where'd you get the money from? Oh yeah, I had the money on me from my work and all my car. So you don't have a camera? He's like, okay. So he has a 1.8 million shilling phone in his pocket, but he can't cash out for a 1.5 million shilling camera. That is going to double and triple his income over the next year. You understand where there's a problem there? So I told him, just sell it. I don't know whether he has or hasn't. He hasn't called me back. But you need to understand, you are going to fail if you don't start thinking like a business person. If your client or whoever you get puts 100K in your pocket and you immediately go out partying with friends, you're a failure. I want you to understand that now. I'm not saying don't party, but I'm saying segregate. Pick 20K and say, okay, I'll use this to go out with my bad days. Put 80 aside. Think like a business person. That's going to be the biggest differentiator between who succeeds here and who doesn't. I literally know two people, both of whom are my mentors. They're photographers. One guy owns a business that makes between 36 and 60 million shillings in profit every year. Another guy is solo and he lives in like a small place on his own. Both have around 15 to 20 years of experience. The difference is in how they spent their money. That's big. One guy kept saving, upgrading his equipment, increasing his clients and their quality, and moving forward. Another guy spent it a lot at the back. So I need you to understand that the possibility of failure is real. And if you mess up your money, you're dead. Even if you're making a lot, if you mess up your money, you're dead. Guys, if you're taking chicks out to Javas and you're dead, I'm telling you, I'm serious. If a chick is worth it, she will understand. You tell her, boo, me, I've made this much. Let's spend 20K going out. I'm serious. By the way, it is, thank you. And that's a whole other conversation, but I'm going to trust you to be wise enough to handle that. Seriously, be realistic. I think you heard Lauren say, don't try to pretend to be what you're not. It is okay to buy Chikamando, get a Cassidy and watch movies from your home with your buddies. Don't be too fancy. Thank you. You people, some of you are in the clear copy zone. You have no business, seriously, if you're just starting out, especially your first 1-2 years of clients, you have no business spending 40K to go out and watch a movie when you can spend 4K. You have no business eating a meal of 35,000 when you can eat for 5,000. And you need to get that. You really need to get that. I've stuck on that because it's important. Okay, let me move on. Now you have your first client, who you're getting next week. All of you, you're getting your first client next week. I don't care whether it's 2K, 100K, 200, whatever. You're getting your first next week. The next step is you're going to improve your process. So I need one guy here. Who here has worked with a small client before? I'm looking for a job of like 100, 150K. Who here has? You guys have. You have, right? I want to ask one question. Did the client come back after? Like, do you have repeat clients who keep coming back to you? Yeah. Okay, that's good. That means you have a process, right? So let's say I call you. We're going to do a simulated call. Eh? So what's your name? Hakim. Hakim. Okay, Hakim. I'm going to be the client. Right? Good enough you run a business, so you're going to take us through this properly. Yes, Mr. Hakim. Is this Hakim Photography? Exactly. Okay. I need you to come and shoot my wedding on Saturday.
On Saturday?
Yes, this Saturday.
Saturday. How much are you offering this thing?
We have a budget of maybe 150. Can you do 150?
No.
Okay. What's wrong with 150?
You say photography or
Yeah,
what?
no, just come come. You need to take our wedding, just some pictures.
200 may work.
200 can work. That's a bit hard. Okay, let me see if I'll call you back. Hakim has done two things very well. What's the first thing he has done well? Think. What's the first thing he did well? Yes? By the way, he hasn't yet gotten the client, because I said I have a budget. Like, maybe I'm poor, I have only 150, you said 200.
How to find out how much someone prepared for you.
Perfect. Write this down. Write this down now. Write. Don't worry, you're going to have this all later. Write this down. Number one, with your client, budget. Budget. This is the number one thing you need to find out on a client call. You need to find out their budget. Before you even before you hear too much about what it is they want to do, figure out their budget. Number one. Number two, you're going to figure out their goals. GOALS. Arsenal, 0. Chelsea, 4. Goals. Your client's goals. And you need to figure out what their goals are. You need to talk to them and find out what their goals are. Guys, what's the third one? I want you to guess. Someone give me a good guess. No fear. That's close, but it's close. We're going to get to negotiation, but not that. But thank you for trying. I appreciate the effort.
I think it's location.
Location is good. I like that. I like location.
When they need it.
Perfect. Timeline. Write that. Timeline. You need to know your client's timeline. Do they need this delivered tomorrow morning? I once had a client have someone in their family die. They called me at 2 a.m. when I was out partying with my brothers. And I was like, Kawa, because me, I like money. I was like, I'll deliver in the morning. It's okay. Do you have the money? Kawa, send via mobile money, I get it done. And I created everything and I delivered. That's a client who needs something tomorrow. But of course, I'm not going to be able to design something as well as if they need something for a wedding next week. Do you understand? So it's important to have these conversations with your clients. Be honest. Be like, if you need something this Saturday, it's not going to be as good as if you could give me 2 weeks. Or if you need something this Saturday, I'm okay. I'm ready. Be very open with that. If you understand those things, I like location, but the major ones I'm focusing on are budget, goals, and timeline. If you understand your client's budget, their goals, and their timeline, you're going to be able to easily understand if you're going to take this job or if you're going to leave it. And one thing you should not do, although I'll come back to Hakim, one thing you need to do is you need to bring these to your client. Your client should basically not bring these to you. Let me give you a quick example. Supposing you see something which you've never seen before, let's say a dress. When you go to get a dress, and there is a price there that says 240,000, the exact same dress, 240,000 shillings. You're going to go, no, it's 240, and you decide whether or not you can afford it or not from there. But if it's just a dress displayed, I can come, I'm like, how much? You're like, 240. I'm like, let me bargain you down. That's a problem. So you are the one to take your price to the clients. Do you understand that? You are the one to take your price to the clients. Then you are the one to ask them what their goals are. Your client should never tell you what they're trying to achieve first. You should always be the one asking, because you want to be in control of the conversation. That's important, especially that first call. Usually, most of you get your work through calls, right? I mean, that's how I get my work. How about you guys? You guys who are in business, do you get your work through calls?
Yeah.
It's usually a call, right? Okay, cool. So usually, it's going to be a call. They'll start off with a call. Before they meet you face to face, before they come to your place of office or whatever, it's usually a call. And if you can understand how to do good calls, you're in a good position. So, client calls you. First thing, I need to find out what their budget is. I need to find out what their goals are. Then I need to find out their timeline. Okay, what's the first thing?
Finding out their budget.
Perfect. Second thing? Third thing? Perfect. And once you have that conversation with them, you will understand if this job is for you or if it's not. Next, please never drop your client. Your client has come in your hands like this. Never drop them. Don't drop them. What drop means is if your client is asking for something very big, please, some of you are going to start out in photography with one camera and you. I'm pretty sure that's how most of you guys started. You didn't start with studios. You guys who have studios. Is that how you started? A camera and you? Yeah. Perfect. When a client calls and they say, I have 5 million shillings for a wedding, do you have like a group of photographers to come and do this thing, and you've never done it before? I highly recommend, as sweet as that money sounds, do not just go in and say yes. Don't just go in and say yes. Don't. First say, okay, I'm usually a one-man operation. If you are comfortable, I can bring some people on board, like let's say 2 or 3 other photographers, within your budget, and we can shoot for you a beautiful wedding. Or, if you're not comfortable with that, I can refer you to someone else, and me, you know you're calling me for small things like small celebrations, birthdays, and graduations. Like, be honest with your clients. Don't pretend to be a big studio. By the way, guys, I have stories. Don't pretend to be a big studio when you're one person. It's embarrassing. I had a client I was speaking with, and the job was like $1,000, and it was 2 weeks. And I went in, I had my stuff ready, and they were like, okay, Kawa, but can you do this? Because we're doing this, and we have billboards around, and want to do these animations, and etc., etc. And man, I'm one guy. And I'm thinking, you know what, I can power through this. But very early in our negotiations, they began to realize, man, maybe I'm not the guy for the job. And what would have been better, and I lost them permanently. Because now they think Ralph is a guy who's going to just go for the money at all costs, even if he can't get the job done. If someone comes to me and they're looking for complex 3D design, nowadays I refer them. I have someone I refer them to. If you cannot do a job, it is okay. There is no sin. Don't drop people. And if the job is too small, don't also say, your budget is weak. Don't. Like if they have 150, you may know a less experienced photographer who will do it for 100 and say, look, I can't come myself because that's below my rate. But for 150, I can get you one of my younger guys to come and do a good job for you. You give him his car 75, you keep 75. That's how you make the money. And you never drop your clients. Even if they are cheap, you're either referring or you're getting someone else. And remember, when you refer people to other people, they will love you and they'll want to refer people to you. So there's a lot of goodwill going on. That's very, very important. So that is what I want you to do. Have you understood? Yes. What's the first thing you need to find out? The second thing? The third thing? Perfect, timeline. Now that that's done, I think you guys are ready. You guys are ready to go out in the world. I'm going to mention one last thing, then we're going to Q&A. You guys, you have to be focused on money. I know you guys are doing this for passion. Do not ever do free work. I know that's a bit different to what I said earlier, because I said, this is something for charge. I am now telling you, never do free work, ever, for anyone, even if it's your mom. Okay, maybe it's your mom because she gave you school fees. But Don't do free work for anyone, ever. Never work for exposure. There is enough money and budget in this world for all of you to take home a lot of money. Never do free work. You can be cheap and say, I'm a bit inexperienced and I can do the work for this, but I can't do it for free. Never do free work, because free work leads to more, and paid work leads to more. Nice. Free work leads to more, and paid work leads to more. Yes. Cheap, broke people are surrounded by cheap, broke people. Don't work for them. It's not their fault, but that's all they'll ever refer you to. People who have money, understand the professionalism and the real jobs, are surrounded by people who have the money, understand the professionalism, and have the real jobs. Never do free work. When you're starting out, you might be a bit cheap, you know. Like Mr. Akim might be 200K. You're a bit green, you're 80K. That's fine. But you need to keep increasing your prices, and you should never do free work, ever. Ever. I need to talk about receiving money. I remember one of my companies I had started, I had hired these guys to come on board, and I was speaking with the client, because you know when we're talking about money, it's like we're talking about sex or something. We're all like, we haven't talked budget, just like, it's okay, let's see what happens, it's fine. Now here I have people who I have hired, and I'm calling the client and I'm telling them, oh, so this is the amount of money, are you comfortable? They're like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool, when do I receive it? They're like, in 6 months. I remember I almost got tears in my eyes. I want you to imagine these 5 people here and they're seeing their boss getting tears in their eyes like this. I was done. I just told them, guys, let me just give you transit, go home. I packed up. That was the death of one of my companies. I was so stupid. You people, I was stupid. I was young. Please don't be like me. Please don't. You talk money from day one, and you be clear on what you are receiving. Let me be clear. A job is not real until there is money in your pocket. I want you to say that with me. A job is not real until there is money in your pocket. Number one, when you're on the phone, it's just a conversation. It is 2 people sharing information. That is all. They're just checking you out. They have not yet put a ring on it. You know what I mean? Eh? They have, as long as they have not put money on you, don't do anything. Don't hire anyone. Don't prepare anything. Don't. Right? The only thing maybe you should do is give them a basic work plan and say, we're doing this and doing this. A basic budget. I tell you, don't do these things where you spend 2 weeks working on a client budget because they gave you a call and it's a big client and it's juicy. No, people. These things need to be done in 1 day. Do you understand what I mean? Like you sit down, you write it out, done in 1 day. Don't have all the details now when we take a taxi. No. Guys, your client hasn't paid you anything. They don't expect detail. They just expect you show them you understand what it takes to do the job. That's all. And once you get that done and out of the way and they've put money in your pocket, that's when you move. Me personally, when I started, I used to just do the work. And by God's grace, my stupidity was immediately punished. I remember chasing a client for my money for 2 months. You people, I sweated. I was stressed. My emotions were mixed. 2 months. I want you to imagine chasing a client for your money for 2 months. That's so stupid. And when I went to him finally and I had him here that yes, okay, he gave me 1/3 of the money he owed me. And then he said, well, that's that. You people, I remember the walk of shame I took home. I still remember. Don't go out of your way to serve people who have not yet put money in your pocket. Don't do anything. Don't deliver anything until money is in your pocket. That's rule number 1. And that's how a lot of people end up doing free work. There are people out there who are going to scam you. They like what you have to offer, but they're not willing to pay for it. There are people out there who want to pay less than what you've set your price as, but they want to deceive you. There are people out there who they are good people. But you know what? Business needs come. School fees time comes and they use the money. Then, of course, you, the mere photographer, the graphics designer, the videographer, you're just there. And you're really not that important. So get your money first. And when you get your money first, you make sure you do a good job. I'm assuming that you guys are going to keep working to do a good job. Nothing I've said matters if you're shit. As in, if you're fake, nothing I've said matters. Let me first get that out of the way. So make sure you're focused on that. Get the money, then do the work. I personally take 75% of money before I start the job and 25% before I deliver. As in, before the flash disk with the work enters your computer, my last 25% of cash must be delivered. My last 25%. I want to end on this note before we go in Q&A. You guys can succeed. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to give you all my... Actually, let me give you all my number. Please feel free to get in touch. Even if you're like, man, you guys called this client, they called, they said they had money, but they haven't called for 2 weeks. No matter the question, I'm available. 0706 431 315. You can WhatsApp me. I usually respond in 24 hours. Just make sure you WhatsApp me with an issue. Like, hi, I'm here. I'm doing this. My client has done this. What do I do? I'll usually respond very quickly. And I'm available. Because you guys are young, man. Yeah, I'm here for you. And since Mr. Kenny invited me, I'm definitely here for you because I want you to succeed. That is the end of the formal part of the talk. Thank you. Oh, my name, Miss Ralph Warom. RALPH Now I want to take questions. If you have serious questions for me, please, I'm open. Yes. Your name?
I'm Ali.
Yes, Mr. Ali.
How do you deal with your coworkers? Because one problem I've faced in the business is the people I work with, either partners or the people I hire to do some work for me, for the clients. Sometimes they end up beating me. So how do you manage such situations with your coworkers and partners?
Okay. As someone who has successfully and unsuccessfully hired people, for example, once I was starting a magazine company, I brought 8 people on and I had to fire them because none of them had produced. The first thing is try to not pay people up front. Your job as the business person or freelancer is to get money as early as possible and to pay money as late as possible. Because the last thing you want is, hey man, here, edit this video. The guy does a shit job, but you've already given him his 100K for the day. You don't want that. Next, vet your people. This is if you're the one in control. Vet your people. Before I work with you, I have to look at your work. I have to look at a video, photography. I have to look at something. So make sure you're not getting people who are good at who let's say, man, she's pretty, it's okay, let me bring her on, or, oh, this is my bad day. None of that. I look at your work and it's good. In most cases, if someone's previous work is good, their current work, which they do for you, is going to be good. Yeah. And pay them as late as possible. Maybe give them 15% at the start. When you're happy with the work, you pay them the remaining. Of course, it depends on the quality of relationship. Yeah. Any other questions? My business people? No one's even going to ask me how to increase their prices and make more money. Kawa, I see what you guys are. Yes.
We would like to ask a question. One time, I received a client actually.
Yeah.
Then he wanted some photography for a graduation party. Then I spoke to her, and then she said, you see, I contacted someone who's doing photography, but this person was charging me 800,000, and yet my budget does not shoot up there. Then I said, how much budget do you want? This client insisted on telling me money. So, like, could you first tell me, like, as I've told you, I've explained to you, like, when you tell me how much you think I can really give you, And I got puzzled there. So I ended up, when she told me 800 there, I said, okay, because you are a friend to me, and I like something good for you, I'll do at you at 600,000. And she said, yeah, at least for you, fair enough. Then she said, I'm going to give you a call. Afterwards, she never gave me a call after. What do you think I would have done in such a situation?
Okay, let me first applaud you. Number one, you didn't also refuse to give her a number. That is good. You were straightforward. You said, okay, 600. Did you ask her what the scope of the work was? Like, what's, because if that guy said 800, he's probably not stupid. He probably, the size of the work was also that. Did you ask her for the size of the work? Okay. I'll go back to the 3 fundamental questions. Go back to, okay, what are her goals? Because that's going to be important. If you want to shoot some photography for your child's birthday party, it's not the same as if you're shooting photography for a big advertisement on a billboard. It's not the same as if you're shooting for your website on an NGO. So you never know. Even 800 was little for her work. You never know. I'm sorry you lost that supposed client. Maybe she didn't even have the money. But I need you to know it's her fault, and it's her who wasn't professional. Because if she said, look, I have a budget of 300K, this is what I'm trying to do, it would have been better. And unfortunately, sometimes even when you have the skill to serve someone, because of their problems, you're not going to be able to work with them. And it's sad, because that's money we are missing. That's not in our pockets, but it happens. Yeah.
So what if, because I consulted someone, and then somebody told me that when you are in this field, like photographer, videographer, it's not always good to shut down the client. Yeah. So, for example, he told me, now if you're a starter, you may not be able to own these cameras.
Yeah.
So you just imagine if you have like maybe a Canon 70D, and maybe hiring it is like 100,000, and yet I can have 1100 at maybe 30,000-40,000. So he advised me, I would have first known the budget, then I know how to plan about it. Okay, instead of maybe hiring a Canon, it's expensive Canon, maybe an average Canon, but I know I will try to use it for this one.
Yeah.
So the guy advised me like that, like, you just keep on adjusting because you have also to get money out of the thing. I don't know if that was...
That makes sense. But you've touched on something I feel I need to touch on as well. Firstly, as I said, that one was not your fault. If the client refuses to tell you budget, refuses to tell you what they're doing, like at that point, they are unprofessional and they don't know what they want. So I don't want you to think that you did anything wrong. You actually did everything right. It's just sometimes there are people who either don't have the money or they have other issues. And I don't want you to be overthinking about it when... Because, I mean, didn't he also tell you, like, really you did everything? It's her who was holding back information. And there's nothing you can do. But you've touched on something interesting. My friend was laughing at me when we were coming. Is it okay if I say this story? I had one of my cameras basically stolen from me, so I had no camera. And some guy from an NGO came to me and was like, dude, let's shoot a video. And I'm like, dude, I have no camera. He's like, yeah, but I've seen your work, I want you. I'm like, I really don't have anything, I have just my phone. He's like, dude, even if it's on your phone, as long as you use your style, it's fine. So I'm like, come on. So I went with my smartphone, we traveled, I shot the stuff. I came back and he paid me. And I was like, well, and of course I do my work in the edit. And I know I'm limited. I don't have the zoom. I don't have the bokeh. So I do use my professionalism to film it right for him and his goals. And we make sure we have his goals written out beforehand so I can show him this part of the video is to help the people you're getting funds for understand etc. So equipment is a funny thing. Most people don't know the difference between a full-frame camera and an APS-C or Micro Four Thirds. You guys know the difference, right? Most people don't know what contrast is. They can't tell. As in they cannot, if you tell them, yeah, this photo, like when you see a good photo, you may say contrast, color saturation, speed grading, etc., etc. A client doesn't care. Them, they just see a message. Is the message conveyed? So don't About the gear part, don't be too worried. Some of you here who have worse cameras will make more money because you're better at understanding your client's needs than people who have like Sony A7 S3s. Like, oh my God, that's like a $4,000 camera. I've never even seen it in real life. So about equipment, I recommend, of course, don't worry. As you said, you have the skill. The skill is you. If you have the skill and you charge your client and they accept it, go. There's a movie recently, a big Hollywood movie that was shot on an iPhone. And there was another horror, I think it was called, I'll remember the name, but you guys can Google it. There was a horror movie shot on a phone, an iPhone, and it made a lot of money. And the director was just trying to tell guys, F you, I don't need your $10,000 equipment, I have the skill. And it's true. You know, no one cares if you use the ballistic paintbrush or a basic one you bought with goat's hair, as long as the painting is good. That would be my recommendation to all of you. Yes, Mr. Philip.
Mine is also not so far from his.
Yes.
When I was starting out, I was also using a phone. When I acquired a camera, I used to have some challenges in prices. Is it okay to have a fixed price when a customer, like the way he said he's doing it at 200, and the customer says he has maybe 150, and at times I get this challenge because some things come in my head like this Saturday I have nothing to do. Really, why don't I do that? Or maybe a customer says I have 100. I just sit there and say, hey, this weekend I have nothing. Why don't I just go and do this? Is it okay to do that? Because they also go ahead and tell other customers, this one did for me this price. This one did for me this price. So when the customers are coming, they come with that price of 150. If you tell them, at times they try to share away, they feel the cheap.
It depends on your customer. You know, sometimes we have to be realistic. If it's some single mother whose daughter has just graduated and she has been having to push big time to send her daughter to school, and she has 120K for her photography, and you're free this weekend, do the job, but I would recommend you give her a discount. You never say that, oh, I'm reducing my price from, let's say, 200 to 120. Say, look, I'm giving you this discount just because I think I understand it's graduation season, but I'm not reducing my price. I recommend that, just to keep it mentally that your price is high. But do the work. Please don't tell anyone this. I'm going to now tell you secrets. When you just started, just take the money. I want you to understand this. When you've just started, just take the money. The truth is, some of you here are not good enough to walk into an office or to be called, like, if you receive a call and someone's like, yeah, I have a 5 million shilling budget for my music video. Can you coordinate everyone? Get for me the nice girls to dance. Get all these things. You can't handle. But if someone says, man, come shoot my birthday party, you can handle. You know? If you're like a graphics designer or you're into anything, and someone says, dude, we're just a startup, can you do us a logo for 30,000? And you've just started, just say yes. Me, I say no. But I have a certain specific amount I have to be getting every single day. So as an example, I'm going to give you real numbers. I make sure that no matter which job I'm doing, for every day that I work on it, I have to take home a net income of 100,000 shillings, minimum. Last year around December, I was negotiating a project, and it was 3 months, and it was around 3 million shillings. And it was only around 4 hours of work a day, because I also do programming. So that's that. But you need to have some standards. Don't do 20K whereby you're not even going to eat, money is finished in transport, and you live unhappy. But take the jobs. When you've started, just take the jobs. Just take the jobs. Linda, next week when you get your first class, just take the job. Right? Because you've just started, just take the job. What I do recommend though is make sure that your money is increasing every single year. Like I keep track of all the money I make. Last month was January. I made more money than I made last year in January. And that's very important. You remember what I told you about my 2 photographer friends who have been in the business for 15 to 20 years? One guy has seen his income steadily increase because he's doing the things that make the income increase. If you're one guy with a camera, your income has a certain limit. But if you now have a lighting setup, you have a backdrop and backgrounds, like as you expand how good you are, what equipment you have, the people you have, you know, maybe you can call up your other friend and you're like, okay, we're bringing 2 photographers for the wedding. One guy just for the couple, another guy for everyone else. You can charge more and make more money. So that's important. So keep growing in your charges, but at the beginning, just take the money. As in, don't be ashamed. As in, just pocket it and go. It's okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Your name?
Al-Haj.
Al-Haj. Good meeting you, Al-Haj.
Yeah, there's this situation that I went through.
Yeah.
I would say it may be positive or I don't know. You have this client, calls you for work.
Mm.
You discuss everything, tells you the budget, gives you the deadline. You go for the work, pays you immediately. You come back, you finish the work, you hit the deadline. But the client doesn't come for the work. Okay?
Mm.
But you also make your effort, like to submit the work to the client.
Mm.
But the client keeps on telling you, wait, don't bring the work yet, wait. How can you handle such situation?
Have they paid you?
Yeah, yes.
It's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as they've paid you, it's their work. They own it. If they want it, they can have it. If they don't, it's okay. Yeah. Yes.
And what can you do with if these friends you refer to your clients, where maybe you have a client,
Yes.
the client has told you that maybe I want you maybe on this Saturday.
Yes.
And that very day you have maybe another work somewhere which is again somehow more big.
Yeah.
And you can't handle, but that person wants you. So you agree, and then you call maybe your friend you know that will do best.
Mm.
Then this friend goes and does the good work, yes, and then they tend to take out, to steal your clients. They are doing that so much.
Friends stealing your clients.
You end up going with their contacts and you lose your client.
This one hurts. It hurts a lot. I won't lie. It has happened to me, but I'm going to say something. I'm going to confess. It happened to me because my friend was better than me at doing that job. So what I recommend is have people who are available, who can work under your company name. That's what an uncle of mine does. So, for example, what's the name of your company?
I don't have a company.
Okay, now that's going to be an issue. I think I heard you talking about setting up a company. Like, I'm not saying you need to go and with 10 million shillings, but go with your, I think it's like 80 or 90K. Set up a company name, print a t-shirt, and have that t-shirt available. So anytime someone's going out to do a job, he goes knowing it's under your rules, and you've taught him these are our methodology, and call and check in on the client. Like, so that you make sure it's your job. Because if they've stolen your client because you referred them, it's because you've referred them to them. But if it's in your area of expertise, you need to have some company. Like I told you, my company is One Limited. It's basically me, really. I bring in guys rarely. But part of why I like that is because it centers everything, every job around me. Unfortunately, depending on the size of what you're doing, that's likely going to happen. I can recommend you get people to work under your company name like that. But until you've done that, yeah, it's going to keep happening. Honestly, yeah, it's going to keep happening. Yes, I'm going to take your questions and yours. No, I'll take one sec actually. Yes.
I'm Alex.
Hello, Mr. Alex.
Yeah, I wanted to know what you can do with a client who have hired you to do their work.
Yes.
And then after doing the work, you complete, and then when you give it to them, they'll be like, no, they don't like this work. And yet you cannot still repeat, like maybe it was a wedding, whatever it is, and you already paid.
Yeah.
So what happens? You refund the money back, and yet you had already also put in effort, used some people.
Okay, was your work good? Like if you brought your work here, would all of us be like, hey, you know, instead of taking the bride's face, you took half. Was the work good?
Anyway, it has not happened to me, but just in
Okay.
case that happens.
Okay.
You feel like maybe the work appears to be good, but
Yeah.
to the client, he thinks something is still missing.
It means that you didn't discuss the goals with the client good enough. Let me give you a quick example. I'll once again talk about my good photographer, right? He's been in the business for a while. He sometimes goes through issues with clients where he talks to them and they're like, oh my God, the budget is so high because he charges a lot. So this is how he deals with that. He's like, how much are you spending on food? How much do you think they spend on food? Let's say 200 people for a wedding.
Maybe
3 million, okay. So you're okay with spending 3 million on food, but you can't spend 2.5 on photography. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, you can go and hire someone cheaper who's not going to care about the work. They just want the money, they'll get it, they'll come take photos and be gone. Me, when you hire me, I understand that that food which you've bought in 20 years is going to mean nothing. You won't remember it. It will probably have become grass by that time. But the photos I take for you, you're going to look at them 20 years from now and be proud. So don't feel ashamed to spend on this photography. It's going to be worth it. That's how he approaches things. And I like his approach. I borrow it for so many other things. But that's the big thing. If your work is valuable, sometimes clients forget. Because like weddings, it's emotional. Weddings are emotional. Sometimes people ask for changes in, like, I know I have someone, I have a friend who does decorations. Sometimes people ask, like women, they'll ask her to change the decorations or the roses from like white to red. And they've already ordered the flowers, right? And it's not because of the color of the things, it's because of emotions. So just make sure you have that discussion with your client before about goals. I promise they won't reject your work if it's good. If your work is bad, just take the money, you've already done a bad job, but improve at your work so that never happens again. Your client being happy is the most important thing. It's the most important. Yes, Mr. Hakim.
My question is, there are these guys who come, like now Alex can come, run Hakim, got a big job, but these guys are giving this amount, like 1.5, but I want 30% of that money. If you're not giving me the 30, you're not taking the job. I've already been challenged by these guys.
That one's very simple. It's their job. They can find whoever they want. If 30% is too much, you can say no. Because what it is that, okay, I have this class. Like, it depends though. It depends on how much they have the job. If you have the job, but it's like you just know someone and the connection price is 30%, I might forgive you the first time. Maybe. But remember, once you get that client, every work they hire you for, if you do a good job, you're getting 100% of that. So it's not that big a deal. But sometimes the people will ask for extraordinary things. Like there was some job where one of the guys was telling me, and from now, for the next 3 years, any work the client brings, I'll take 15%. I just said, that sounds like slavery. Eh? It sounds like bondage. It's like I'm working for you. I would rather have a boss. So at that point, I'll say no. And if you're really good and you're the only one who can supply the needs, good. If they can get someone else, fine. But you need to be very careful with, people who bring such work, you need to be careful. I can't make that decision for you, but if they have the money, and they're the ones, they have the money in their hands, like they have the 1.5 here, they're the ones hiring you. So really what they do with the money, you might want to tell him, you know what, when you come to me like that, it's very dishonest. And I hate it. You'd rather say, I have a client, and they want this work at 1.2. You take your 300 quietly. Because when you tell me, now it's a moral issue. Right? I believe you're a believer in God, right? So some things don't feel right. So if it doesn't feel right, tell him, no, just take your 300 quietly. Come to me with the real work. Don't come to me with that weird offer. That's what I recommend. Yeah. Yes. Yes, sir. Your name?
My name is Zubia Daniel.
Yes, Mr. Daniel.
I had a client some time back.
Yeah.
He wanted a documentary. We came down inside, we gave him the amount. But after delivering the work, everything was fine. He came back, he wanted another document on something else. So we wanted to improve on the quality, to give him something better than the past product. But the problem came because we hiked the money a bit. Now, for a customer like that, how do you convince them? Because you are getting the same product, but you want to improve on something.
If you improve on something, is it the same product? Is the iPhone 7 the same as the iPhone 6? Okay. If you can honestly talk to him about the improvement, it's fine. But convince is kind of a dangerous word. Because convince makes it seem like you have what you want, and I want to bring you over to what I want. If the client doesn't want good quality and he wants the exact same at the same price, there is no problem in giving it to him. Like, there is no shame. As long as you're making money. Like profit. Not Mbu, he's asking you for something which will make you lose profit. Never lose profit. If he's just asking and he's like, you're like me, I want to bring a drone. I'm sure you've seen drones in weddings. Sometimes, like, you may go to a client and like, yeah, I want to bring a drone for your thing and what. And then they're like, for me, I want my simple pictures, me and my woman. That's an example. Give them what they can pay for. And then keep the drone for when you want a client who can afford and wants to pay for more fancy things. Because when you charged him the first time, you created in him an expectation. A certain level of work, a certain amount of money. Right? Now you want to increase the level of work, but he still wants the same because his budget and the way he's been thinking is the same. As time goes on, you can have it as a discussion. Clients are people. They're like you. Even him, if you tell him, you guy, for your thing, if we do this, it will be too bad. And you have that conversation and you're gentle with him. Don't try and convince him. Just share with him what new stuff you're capable of doing. And etc. He might take you on. He might not. But you respect his wishes because it's his money paying for it. His or her. Yes.